Masa's son's pretty tough to defeat, too. He's had some rough goes at things. Carl mentioned it earlier. Andrew Ross Sorkin, holding his annual Deal Book Conference, did interview Masa. But there was a back and forth that wasn't particularly positive in terms of at least the near term with the pandemic. Take a listen.
No, as I said, the short run, I'm pessimistic that it's still increasing, the second wave or third wave of the COVID-19 around the world. And of course, the vaccine is coming, medical antibodies coming, but who knows, in the next 2-3 months, any disaster could happen. We're just preparing for the worst case scenario.
Well, but for the audience, I hate to be pessimistic, given your optimism about life usually. What does that worst case scenario look like to you?
Well, look, before mass production, distribution of the antibodies, the vaccine comes, some major company could crash. The savior of those collapse of the domino effect could happen. Like a Lehman crisis, just one bank crisis made entire the banking industry shake up, and that made worldwide crash of the stock market. So anything can happen in this kind of situation. I think it's getting better with the news of the vaccines success of the early test, but I still want to be prepared for the worst case scenario.
Listening to Masa, Jim, particularly given what SoftBank has had a very interesting year, let's call it.
Yeah.
Elliott got in the shares. They suddenly really changed their strategy in many ways, monetized an enormous amount of assets, bought back an enormous amount of stock. We talked about their day trading, their use of enormous options positions. Not clear that they've done particularly well in that in some of those technology companies late in the summer that they were buying.
That was the peak.
But you heard him. He says he's preparing, at least wants to be prepared for a worst-case scenario. Seems unclear, but making allusions to Lehman Brothers and the banking crisis of 12 years ago.
And what's it exactly based on? His view, do you think? Well, it's his view.
Yeah.
But I find it troubling that he could be as bullish as he was on the most extended part of the market and then talk about how he's not good near term unless the calls ran out.
I don't know about where they stand in their options position, which had been fairly large. But again, Masa's had another come from death. He's near-death experience with WeWork and the bank, everything going against him, and then kind of really turning it around and realizing a lot of what had been undervalued assets at SoftBank for some time and started to realize the value of it. Well, not to mention the ARM transaction, not to mention, they've gone through so many different things. Yeah.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.